Hi, everyone. We're going to be starting our session right now. Good evening. Thank you for attending our session on the cooperative housing for persons with developmental disabilities. We want you to know that this session is being recorded so we can share this information with other cooperatives. If you're uncomfortable with that, please turn off your video and you can put your questions in the chat. I want to welcome our panelists, Jillian, Anna, and Bailey from Community Living Society, and Liz Peters from Coho Management. Later on, we will be having the panelists introduce themselves. Thank you to our CHFBC staff who are attending tonight. Fiona Jackson is our Director of Member Engagement and Communications, and Debbie Van Kuyk is our Education and Events Coordinator. They will be monitoring the chat and doing the technical support during tonight's event. My name is Michelle Cooper-Iverson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the CHFBC Group, including Community Land Trust and Coho Management Services Society. So I just want to draw your attention to the first slide, which you notice I have struck out developmental disabilities and said that co-op homes are for persons with all types of abilities, because after tonight, you're going to learn some more about the abilities of these individuals, learn about their passions, and I hope that you all agree, we're all in good company here, that cooperative housing is for people for all abilities. To formally start tonight's session, I want to start by acknowledging that CHFBC is committed to the process of decolonization and reconciliation of First Nations and urban Indigenous communities. This acknowledgement is a reminder of the discriminatory, racist, and colonial practices that have had a lasting legacy and continue to create barriers for Indigenous people and communities. I always like to make my land acknowledgement personal. So this photo is in the Shulap Mountain Range near Clinton, BC, and it gives me much pleasure and gratitude. My personal heritage is of the Kalinago and the Caribs. These are the Indigenous people of the Caribbean. And I came to Vancouver as a child, and the land that I live, play, and work on is unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And I am truly appreciative of the original stewards of the land and truly thankful to be here. So this is one of my favorite slides because it really talks about housing cooperatives being an alternative for all types of families and all types of individuals, regardless of their ability. And what is unique about cooperatives is the 7 guiding principles. And what's really important here is that they're really focused on self-help and self-responsibility. People in housing cooperatives are not passive recipients, but through our experience, we develop skills, we establish economic independence, we enhance social capital, we strengthen communities, because members of housing cooperatives involve local people, their own community in decision-making at all levels. You'll find out some more this evening about the qualities of the people that we're going to meet and the people with developmental disabilities in generally. That's exactly what they aspire to achieve. That's what they want, and I would say that's what we all want. Co-ops are created when a group of like-minded individuals get together to fill a need. And back in 1994, a group of families, there were 10 of them actually, their children had developmental disabilities, they needed different kind of support, and they got together and they created their own housing cooperative. The cooperative name was Rougemont Cooperative Homes. They're in Ontario. And they became a housing cooperative brought upon by this group of families because they wanted to make sure that they had a solid future for their sons and daughters in a welcoming community. So this is the front entrance, and that's the founding board. It's a 6-story, 105-unit housing cooperative. There's couples, singles, young families, elders of many cultures and backgrounds. But the real story of this co-op, which is still in existence today, is the fact that everybody came together from the community to support these 10 sons and daughters of the founding board. And for those parents, what it meant is that their children today are picking up their mail at their co-op, they're answering the telephone at the co-op, and it's as simple as having the key at the end of the day to open their own apartment. And I know that sounds like a really simple thing, but it means everything to those parents that their children were able to achieve that level of independence. So this is one such model where a group of people came together, created their own housing cooperative for their families, and then invited the rest of the public to join them to create 105 units, and total 200 people live in this co-op today. But that's not the only model. Closer to home, we have Wishes Housing Co-op, which is in Kitsilano, BC, and that was already established. So I want to introduce our first panelist and speaker, which is Liz Peters, and I'll have her introduce herself and also tell us about these lifelong friends that came together to live at this co-op.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Peters. I have been a co-op manager for, I think I'm in my 23rd year now. And of that time, 20 years of it has been spent being the coordinator for Wishes Housing Co-op. You can see Wishes here on West Broadway in Vancouver, in a beautiful neighborhood. The co-op was also built in 1994, interestingly enough, the same year as Rougemount. Two of the longtime members, they were actually founding members, were two wonderful women, Esther and Wendy, who met when they were, I think, 19 and 20 years old, when they both moved into a group home. They both have different types of developmental disabilities. Wendy has some physical disabilities, some challenges with hearing, and she has cerebral palsy. Esther has no physical disabilities, but a different level of developmental disability for sure than Wendy has. So these two women were, young women having just left their family homes and moved into a group home, and they became best friends instantly and lived in the group home for almost 20 years. And then their families both heard about Wishes, and Wishes stands for Women in Search of Housing Society, and it was being built specifically for low-income women between the ages of 45 and 64, or under 45 if they had a disability. So their families helped them apply, and they were both accepted and got beautiful one-bedroom apartments. And Wendy needed an adapted unit, Esther didn't. So they got exactly what they needed and continued to be a support for each other for 25 years. Esther moved out of the co-op just over a year ago, just before the pandemic started, into long-term care. Wendy's still living in the co-op with lots of support from a healthcare team and her community worker and her family, and the co-op members. They welcomed Esther and Wendy into the co-op family in an incredible way. They made sure that they knew they were invited to every single co-op event, and if they weren't there, someone would knock on their doors and have them come and join. They participated fully in every single co-op meeting and in decision making, and were a huge part of the community for the 25 years that they both lived there. They spent a lot of time together, sort of doing what they needed to get done and supporting each other to do that. They would go out shopping on Broadway, and Esther would open the doors and carry the packages, and Wendy would help Esther make decisions about what she was going to buy and make sure that the money was being handled correctly and that they got on the right bus. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. And I saw them over the 20 years, saw them age and have their needs change a little bit. And when it got to the point where the co-op couldn't fulfill those needs for Esther, her family moved on to the next step of housing for her. But it was a wonderful independent home for them for a long time. And they were a huge part of the co-op community.
Thank you so much, Liz. I think that's really great in that these two friends that met at a group home later went on to just do what they wanted to, which is living in their own home. So that's great. How is it Wendy that is still at the co-op right now?
Right.
Is she
Yeah.
missing Esther?
She's missing Esther, and she's missing everyone because of the pandemic. She really isn't going out at all, and so she has her care workers coming daily. But she's definitely missing Esther a lot. She talks about her a lot, and in the beginning they tried to keep up visits, but once the pandemic happened, because Esther is in a long-term care facility and couldn't have visitors, they haven't been able to see each other. But hopefully they're staying in touch by phone.
That's great. Thank you so much, Liz, for sharing that story. We were really inspired by this story, and also inspired by the Rougemont Housing Cooperative. And since 2018, CHFBC and the Community Land Trust and the Community Living Society, we struck a partnership. And what does that mean? It means that with every Community Land Trust building, we will set aside 1-bedroom homes for a Community Living Society client. The number of homes depends on each different portfolio, but it's definitely a commitment with each building. And we're so very proud of that. So far, 6 adults now live in their own homes and have their own keys, and in these new co-ops. And often, I think, at least with the Fraser View, they were the first to move in. So it's working really well. And we wanted to take this one step further and invite housing co-ops, which is why you're all here tonight, with mature communities, so you're already established, to consider partnering with the Community Living Society and offering a home in your cooperative community. So this is our air handshake, because if we were in person, we would be shaking hands with Jillian, Anna, and Bailey. But I really wanted to welcome them and hear, I think, are we starting with you, Jillian? Have you introduced yourselves and your team?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. And we're very excited to be here tonight. As Michelle said, my name is Jillian Rhodes. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at CLS. I've been working for CLS for the past 9 years, and the past 3 years working alongside Michelle, with initially on the pilot with the Co-op Housing Federation, which we're going to talk to you a little bit more about this evening. I'd like to introduce both Anna and Bailey and have them introduce themselves. Anna?
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Gaup. I am the Independent Living Manager for the Independent Living Program with Community Living Society. My role is to provide oversight to ensure effective and smooth operation of the program. I work closely with the individuals to engage and support them to live as full citizens, and with my team to provide an environment of support that is focused on supporting the individuals to live as independently as possible. Part of my role is to act as a liaison between family members, sometimes external service providers, and medical professionals. I also provide direct coaching and support to my team lead and a team of community living counselors. I have been working with CLS close to 10 years now, and I truly enjoy what I do, and that's why I'm still here. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. And over to you, Bailey.
Hi, my name is Bailey Wyka, and I have been with CLS for about 3 years now. I am the team lead under Anna Gaup. So basically my position is to work directly with supporting the individuals in their homes, making sure that, they maintain a cleanly house, lots of budgeting, also working with the emotional supports of, living alone, and especially in a pandemic with not being able to see everyone, it gets a little hard. I do work with the staff a lot, so we're always in constant communication.
Thanks, Bailey. So firstly, we really wanted to tell you a little bit about CLS, a little bit about the history, who we are, and the people that we support, and how and why they fit so well with your communities, and why this has been so successful so far. So we wanted to start by watching a short video which can be seen on our website, but it always buoys me up when I see this video. Over to you, Michelle.
Good. If you guys can give me a thumbs up that the sound is working, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay.
When we ask people with disabilities about what is important to them in life, we typically hear 3 things. They want a home, not housing, not a unit, not just a building, and not a placement. They want a home that reflects their own needs and interests. They also want to spend time on meaningful activities. They don't want their time to be simply occupied or wasted. They want to work, contribute, and to be recognized for their efforts. Life is precious and they want to have adventures. They want love and friendships. While they need support in life, they want relationships with friends and people that share their interests.
I want to help people to make their own choices, be able to make their own choices, what they want, where they want to live, what they want to go, what they want to do, where they want to go for vacations. And I'm proud of what I'm doing in CLS.
These are things that are important to all of us. At the CLS, we help people to imagine what's possible and live the life they want. We work with people to find their home, a place where they can feel safe and in control of their own life, a place that supports their independence while keeping them connected to their family, friends, and community, a home that reflects their personality and preferences, a home of their own. Everyone's life is valuable. We ensure that people spend their time fully engaged in what matters to them. Work that pays a fair wage, artistry that allows for personal expression, and the pride of selling what you produce. Adventures that challenge and inspire people to grow and develop. Being known in their community by being part of events that connect us all. We facilitate communication and connection with family, neighbors, and friends. Communication in all its forms provides a vehicle for connection and relationships. Opportunities to meet people and develop lasting friendships.
When we first moved here, John and I, we didn't know really what would be happening to us because I don't know what the services were. I didn't know what could be offered to him. And to be honest, I was quite worried about what would happen to him. And then we were introduced to this house here and I immediately felt comfortable. I see John has grown a lot. To me, he looks like a young adult and he's learning tons of new skills and new things that he can do. And I'm really proud of him and I can really tell that it's doing a great deal of good in his life.
CLS is the perfect fit because they have all the resources you need. They have all the services. They have all the people that they have. It's really great.
Working with the Community Living Society is really next level in terms of employment placements. They offer so much support and a customized relationship that really develops both the employee and the employer and ultimately improves your business.
At the CLS, we encourage people to imagine and live the life they want. Or as we say,
imagine it, live it.
تخيل وعيش.
Imagine ta vie, elle t'appartient.
If you are interested in finding out more about the support services provided by the CLS, we would love to speak with you.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. That was very seamless.
You know, sort of.
I never get tired of watching that video. As you can see from the video, we support a variety of people, from people in group homes to people who are fully independent. But across the board, we support people to live full lives, and our aim is to support them to integrate fully within their communities. Hence, we're talking to you tonight. On this slide, you'll see a couple of the people we do support currently. Cheryl on the left, who you'll hear more of later, is actually living in one of the new co-op suites down in the River District. As I mentioned, 3.5–4 years ago, we did connect with Co-op Housing Federation to consider the partnership, because we recognized at that time that there was a lack of affordable housing opportunities for the demographic of people that we support. There was also a lack of awareness of the people that we support. And in some cases, there was a bit of a fear of what that support and what that involvement would involve and incorporate. And there are very limited options available to all of our folk, which meant that people generally were living lives with a lot of the times having to live with their parents and not having the opportunities that every one of us generally has. So that's why we work closely to establish this pilot, and then subsequently the move towards a fuller relationship, with the aim to support that integration of the semi-independent adults within the co-op communities, where we see a lot of alignment and potential. We started small, initially with 1 or 2 people. We started with the newer developments, and we start with adults who need sort of a minimal support, between 5 to 10 hours of support a week, and they fit with their community. We already support the people generally that move into the co-op, so we do know what they're looking for, the support needs, and fit for us is very important. So as we move to the next slide, we'll talk about who CLS is and why does this align with yourself and the co-ops, and why are we speaking to you today? Well, CLS, Community Living Society, was established over 40 years ago. We were established by the families of individuals who were predominantly in Woodlands, the institution, and they wanted to bring their loved ones, their siblings, in some cases their brothers and sisters, out of Woodlands and establish them within the community. And so we still support today a number of the people that came out of Woodlands all that time ago, and we still have some of the founding members on our board. We're very much a values-run organization, very aligned with the family values. We're a non-profit, we're a charity. We have over 500 staff working for us, so we're fairly large, but we're also very person-centered. We support over 400 different individuals with a variety of support needs, anywhere from group homes all the way through to fully independent folk who just need a modicum of support to help them be successful in their lives. They range in age from 19 through to 85 and all across the spectrum. And when we first considered the pilot and the working together with Community Housing Federation, that values alignment for us was critical. So as you can see on the slide, our vision is communities where every person lives with dignity and enjoys a full life. And our mission is to support those folk to live as full citizens. So as we move to the next slide, we are talking about our values. Our values are respect, community, integrity, and accountability. And our focus of support with both the people that we support, but also with our staff, always aligns with those values. We partner based on those values. It's incredibly important to us that all our partners operate with the same values, attitudes, and understanding. And if there isn't that alignment, then we move away from that opportunity. It's so very important to us, and in the way it's a crux of how we support the people with the people that we support. We've worked hard to ensure the focus on the values and the fit of the individuals into the communities where we place them with the co-ops is very important as well. And so we look for that really close fit with what are the activities, what's going to be really important for that particular community, and who would best fit into those communities. If we moving to the next slide, we'll talk about how we're organized, just to give you an idea of our setup. So we obviously have a board of directors like all non-profits, and they're made up of a variety of different people. Family members are a key component of them. We also have self-advocates on the board who speak for the people that we support. That's very important to us. Then we have Janice Barr, who's our Chief Executive Officer, and then myself, the COO. And there's a number of different programs that report in, but this particular program that oversees the partnership with the co-op is called Independent and Supported Living. And there's a director of programs who is the conduit for the relationship. And then you met Anna earlier, who's the Independent Supported Living Manager, and Bailey, who's the team lead. And then we have 1 or 2 counsellors that work underneath Bailey and Anna who do currently support, and as the program goes, those counsellors will increase, and they do a wonderful job of supporting the people in wherever their needs are. With regards to the team that supports the folk in the co-ops, we focus on integration. Our focus is really to try and understand and work with the community, overcome any likely barriers and understand what those are likely to be, and really be, as we said in the video, a conduit for empowering the individuals that we support. We want them to be fully integrated. We want them to be as independent as they possibly can be, and to support each other and have and be a part of that community as best they can. We have established processes for transitioning the individuals we support into those communities. We have regular connections. CLS is positioned as a shareholder, so we're essentially a landlord, and with that, the folk that we support are tenants, and part of that agreement is that they need to continue to receive supports through us. And so that is how we manage the relationship. And CLS has a contingency, obviously, if there's situations that arrive, but we are fully invested in making sure that everybody is successful in those relationships. If we look at the people we support on the next slide, you'll see that we support people who require minimal supports, as I said, 5 to 10 hours a week of supports, with a wide range of ages and backgrounds. Students, workers, retirees who are active socially, as you will see as you've seen from the video, but also as you'll hear from both Anna and Bailey. A lot of the people that we support are very active socially. They love getting involved in the community, love getting engaged. We encourage them to be part of all of the committees, to do the gardening and to link in with their neighbours and really be a very active part of the cooperative. And that's why we feel there's such a strong alignment here. There is a common thread through the folk that we support, in that they arrived at this situation from similar backgrounds, in that they would not have been able to achieve the independence without the opportunities provided, because of the affordability and because of the nature of the subsidization that they receive. If that wasn't in place, they wouldn't be able to move into these situations. So far, I have to say, we have the 6 folk already involved in the new developments. They are incredibly happy. They are fulfilled. We hear from them often, very active participants in their own lives. So it's really, really fulfilling and rewarding to see what a change and what an important move this has been for them moving into the co-op so far. So moving to the next slide. The areas of support that we provide, they range. It depends on the individual, on what they particularly need. So, for example, some folk may need some support with a little bit of home upkeep. Others may need support cooking for themselves, especially if they're sort of younger and they've not lived away from home. Others need support finding employment, networking, financial guidance, connecting with community resources. Some are a little bit more shy, and that help and support to connect in is really important. A lot of them are already strong self-advocates, which is wonderful, but we help them to find their voices where that's not the case. And we not only provide face-to-face supports, but we also provide remote supports via phone and Zoom. Whatever's required to ensure that they consistently link in, that they're consistently engaged and empowered in their community and are able to lead fulfilling lives. And as we move to the next slide, Anna and Bailey are going to talk about some of the folk that we support and some of their successes. So I think we start off with Anna.
Thanks, Jill. This is Akeem, a young individual in his mid-20s with autism, living independently at the co-op. Akeem was born and raised in Vancouver, BC. He studied at LaSalle College in Vancouver and graduated in 2019 in photography. While studying, he worked a part-time job at Boys Co. It wasn't until recently he made a tough decision to quit his job to start his career in the photography industry. Akeem is a talented and passionate photographer. His focus is on concert, event, portrait, and street photography. Akeem's short-term goal is to find a job related to photography and start building experience in the field. His long-term goal is to start his own business in the photography industry. He is extremely committed and motivated. He travels around Vancouver to submit his resumes to different camera stores, art galleries, and other photography departments. He recently landed a job working in the photography department at London Drugs. During his spare time, Akeem travels across Vancouver with his camera and drone at different times of the day to take pictures to build his online portfolio. Let's take a look at some of his artwork in the next couple of slides. I think the slides are a bit too fast. Can you go back to the first one?
This one?
Yes, this one, yeah. The picture on the left is named 7 a.m. Fog in Vancouver, and on the right is called Sunset in Downtown. As you can see, it takes a set of skills to be able to fly the drone at that height to take these photos. I can assure you there was no Photoshop done, and they were taken in its original state. Next, you can see photos of sunset in Vancouver and night photography in Vancouver. Some of Akeem's favorite shades of color being blue, orange, and red. Next, we have a couple pictures. Akeem, these are just some of the pictures from his online portfolio. He loves traveling and taking photographs of what life means to him. At times, it may be hard for Akeem to express his feelings in words, but there's always a story he can tell you behind each picture he takes. Next. Akeem strongly believes in positive thinking and having a positive mentality when facing the challenges in life. He often talks about throwing poor attitude away and how one can change your life by changing the way you think. His motto is become the best version of yourself every single day, chase your dreams, stay focused, and never give up. Next slide. He always presents with a positive attitude as he believes your attitude defines the way people treat you. He's a man that will not let his disability hold him back and will stay calm and make changes internally so life can be better for him. He holds himself accountable for all the mistakes he makes and to learn and grow from them. Next slide. Akeem receives minimal support from CLS once a week in areas such as learning important life skills to live independently in his own apartment, such as cleaning, learning to cook, interpreting formal documents, building new relationships in the community. Other areas include conversational supports by providing information and understanding of situations so he can increase his confidence and decision-making abilities to direct his own life. Our role as his support staff is to help fill in those gaps and not to do for him. Living at the co-op has given him the independence and enjoyment of the privacy of having his own apartment with access to his community. It provides an active sense of participation in the surrounding community with his neighbors where he lives. As he would often say, he is blessed and thankful to live at the co-op with affordable housing, and he takes advantage of this opportunity by focusing on his dreams and living his life to the fullest. Thank you. Next, I'll pass it over to Bailey to introduce another unique individual.
Thanks, Anna. So moving on, this is Cheryl. I have been very fortunate enough to work with Cheryl on a weekly basis, and she is just such a fabulous woman. She is a huge self-advocate, as well as also working as a receptionist 5 days a week at CLBC. If you want to move on to the next slide, please. Cheryl was one of the first people. Cheryl was one of the first people to move into the co-op. She was so very proud of herself that she had the whole building just for her. She had a security guard wandering around. She thought it was the greatest thing ever. She has lived in many different homes, but with the help of CLS has found her perfect home, as she always tells me, here at the Fraser View Co-op. We assist Cheryl with light cleaning, a lot of emotional support, so helping her work through, especially the pandemic going on, just helping her make decisions day to day with other situations that have come about. She has created so many connections at the co-op. She's currently involved with the assistant manager at the co-op. They frequently have tea and coffee together outside, you know, while maintaining social distance, just to keep each other in the loop of what's going on. She's also started to make connections with her neighbors. She has one neighbor that lives next door to her that they've decided that they're going to start the garden come nice springtime. And she is so very excited and proud of it. She is just so ready to get started. And once there are going to be more social gatherings at the co-op, she is planning to be front and foremost there to introduce herself and really get to know everybody there. So she is able to have those connections and build a big social life like she's used to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bailey and Anna and Jillian. I just want to add something to the Cheryl. I had the pleasure of bringing the keys and giving Cheryl the keys to her apartment, and watching the look on her face still gives me goosebumps to this day. And I spent at least 2 hours with her as we tried to figure out where her table and furniture would go. But it was July in the middle of COVID season with our masks, and nobody had been out for a while. So I still say it's the best afternoon of the entire 2020 was spending the time with Cheryl, giving her keys and watching the look on her face as she found her forever home, as she was talking about it. So we just want to ask you a question before we open it up for your questions. There's a poll. Did tonight's presentation provide you with additional information on the talents and skills of people with developmental disabilities? So I see that Debbie has done that. That's great. And what we're looking for right now, we talked about a bit about the Fraser View project, the Community Land Trust and CHFPC. The next phase is to have a partnership between the cooperative, an established cooperative, of course with CHFPC support, and the Community Living Society to do something similar like this with your cooperative. We realize that people will have questions and they just need some general information, which is why we held tonight's session. Of course, we've recorded it so we can share it with anybody in case you want to take this back to your board of directors and share this video with them as well, if to help make the decision. So let's see if Fiona, or do you want to read the questions in? Looks like there's one for
Sure, I can see if you can't see that. Anne Davidson's asking, is there subsidy available through CLS, or does the co-op need to provide subsidy?
Jillian, did you want to take that, or?
Yeah, I mean, the subsidy actually isn't through CLS. It is provided through our partners in providing those subsidies to the units. CLS isn't funded for that by our funder. People have to work with their income levels as well. So it is dependent on an individual's income level. So if somebody is working full-time, obviously the subsidy would be less. Did you want to add anything into that, Michelle?
Yeah, it's really, the assistance is coming through BC Housing. They're usually either sort of getting the shelter rate, the ones that we've worked with, but it depends on the income level. But to answer your question directly, the co-op itself would not have to provide the subsidy. They would qualify based on their income level, if the co-op can accommodate them or not. I would say typically they're not making a high level of income, so the co-op probably has a certain number of units that they can afford to at a certain rate. So I know the ones that we're working with are receiving the typical shelter rate.
Yeah, and that's predominantly the majority of the folk. They do have employment, but it's not they don't get a large income for sure.
So another question is coming from Shannon. Is there support for co-ops outside of Vancouver?
Mm-hmm. So shall I take that, Michelle?
Yeah, I think Shannon's asking if it could be a Vancouver Island co-op. That, yeah.
Okay. So Shannon, we don't operate on Vancouver Island, but we do operate across the Lower Mainland. So we can support co-ops anywhere from, I guess, out in the Fraser Valley. We operate down in Ladner and Towson and over to the North Shore. Outside of that, we would obviously have to work with the Co-op Federation, and it might be that there are other agencies that we could help sort of work together with, helping mentor them into this type of program.
Okay, so the other one is Robin. I'm not sure what your question is, the ratio of regular members to, are you talking about the staffing ratio?
No, I'm talking about the members from the community living services pool of people versus just a regular outside person coming in as a member.
Well, what happens is the person comes in as a member and they live in the cooperative, and depending on their needs, they're getting staff support. So I think Bailey and Anna sort of talked about it. It's different for each individual depending on who's living in the cooperative. Does that make sense? So there isn't really a ratio. Some people need more support, some people need less support.
Again, let me clarify the question a little bit more. There was discussion earlier about one of the other co-ops, I guess it was the one down by the river off Marine, where a designated number of units were going to be allocated to members coming up from the CLS.
Oh, right. Okay.
That kind of ratio is what I was looking for. Is it like 10%? Is it 5%? Or
okay. Well, no, there isn't right now. It really depends on each building. Obviously, we want to do as many as possible. I know with Fraser View, it's a larger building, so there were 4, and with our other co-op, there were the other 2. But it depends. We build it in based on each land trust co-op has a rent roll calculation. So they will be able to say that we have X number of homes at the shelter rate. And they also have existing agreements with BC Housing through the STEP program that they are obliged to follow those what they're obligated to do. So it really does depend. I know that we try to have as many as possible, right. But yeah, so there isn't a ratio per se.
Right, and the reason this came up was because I was at an AGM last night where they had the City of Vancouver presenting some of the community services that they're losing because of the buildings are being redeveloped. And so the piggyback to that is, are some of the common room areas going to be available for areas in the city to do community sports like craft nights and things like that to people outside in the city?
So I'm not sure that is quite relevant to this conversation. Okay. Okay, good. So we have a question out there.
Want me to read that?
Yeah, is there
any incentives for co-ops? No, not that you can't, but if you want me to, that someone, Joanne is asking, are there any incentives for co-ops to help them encourage modifying their existing units if needed, I guess?
I guess it would depend on if the individual that was moving needed to have adaptations. And then I think, Jillian, that really depends on getting funding for that.
We would, we haven't had to do much modification in most of the units. There are the odd times where we do have people that we support do have a physical disability, and we will work with those folk to get those modifications done and to get funding outside of the co-op. So we would work with the various authorities to help get funding for that ourselves.
Another question here, sorry.
Go ahead.
Was Kristen was asking if her co-op decides to partner with CLS, what would the next steps be?
That's definitely a Jillian question.
I would say, Christine, if you're interested, we'd love to chat with you. Get in touch with myself, and then I can link you in with my director, and we can sit down and talk through the opportunities and the type of situation you've got, and work through all the logistics and see where we go from there. But we would definitely be very interested in talking to you. We have a lot of people that are waiting for that right opportunity, and across a variety of different areas. So we'd really be interested. And I think, will my contact information be available for people after the meeting, Michelle?
Yes. I did a slide, I think, with your contact information, if I remember correctly. Actually, you can type it into the chat right now if you'd like, as well, with an email address. I think that's good.
Sure, I can do that now.
Yeah. Of course, the CHFBC will also be able to assist you along the way with that conversation, and we'll definitely just sort of guide you along the way when it comes to how you prepare for that. So Jillian has put her email in there, so that's great. Any other questions or takeaways from tonight's presentation? That's quiet. Okay. So the next question we've got is just a quick poll. Would you recommend that your housing cooperative take the necessary steps to include more persons with developmental disabilities into their communities? And that's very good. Thank you very much. We hope that that we inspired you, if anything else, to learn just how independently people can live within their community regardless of their ability. I see that Shannon has asked a question. Is there also support for the co-ops directly from Community Living Society on how they can provide any assistance? I would say, of course, I'm speaking ahead of you, Jillian, but I would say that CLS is committed to making this work, and however the cooperative needs support, whether it's a session like this for members, right? What would you say, Jillian?
Yes, I totally concur there. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that the support is there, and we see that support evolving. So if a co-op requires us to go in and talk to people, we can provide that, whatever it takes. And so the first step is really sitting down and discussing, any concerns, what the process looks like, the type of fit for the people going in. One of the questions I think that Robin asked previously about the ratio, what's very important to us is that we don't overcrowd. So we're not into congregate settings either. So we like the folk that we support to be totally integrated into the community. So we won't have a large number of folk in one setting, just because then that goes away from that integration. But we will work with the co-op in whatever's available, and we'll make it work. Does that make sense, Michelle?
It does make total sense. Thank you. So I don't see any other questions. Anything else? Any sort of last words, Jillian, or?
No, I just
or Liz?
Really thank you for the opportunity. It's been a wonderful partnering with the Co-op Housing Federation so far. We've seen tremendous growth in the folk that we support. They're really empowered by it, and we want to see that continue. So please do get in touch.
And I think you should share Akeem's website, because those photographs were incredible. And I did notice that there was a lot of comments about his work. So please let him know that we were very inspired by his work as well. And I can talk personally about Cheryl, because she's my new BFF. So Cheryl will be your BFF very, very, very quickly. She's such an engaging person. You can't help but smile when you think about her. I just want to let you know about the Right Fit, which is a partnership that we also have about accessible housing for wheelchair users. That's coming up at our spring education conference. And I don't know if Katie is on the line if she wants to speak to this, but we did want to remind our co-op members about our education conference that is coming up within 2 days of Earth Day. And the theme is, oh, there you are, Katie.
Hi.
Did you want to say a few words?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Bigsby, and I'm the Education Director at CHFBC. Thanks, Michelle. We're really excited about our upcoming conference on April 24th, and we hope that you can join us. It will have a focus, in the morning and afternoon plenaries are going to be around how to look at and take action around the climate emergency. But there's going to be a lot of different sessions there, an Indigenous anti-racism session, a session around hoarding and a harm reduction approach and the right fit, like Michelle was talking about, to increase accessibility in your co-op. So the early bird deadline is coming up April 12th. And we would love to have you join us. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And I know it's over the dinner hour, so we really appreciate you. Reach out to us at members@chf.bc.ca if you did miss Jillian's contact information. We can get it to you as well. And we will also share this recording if you would like to share it, say, with your board, to bring that discussion to the table. This is certainly one thing that we can do. And Jillian, here I am volunteering you again, but if you wanted Jillian to speak to your board, or to sort of get those, just sort of, I think really it's exploratory at this stage, you know, so we're encouraging that, explore away. And we hope that at least you think about this, because I think this is definitely so much aligns to our values and our purpose of both of our organizations. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you another time on another Zoom channel somewhere.
Thank you, Michelle.
Bye.